Hey there, everyone. Kylie Elizabeth here, the Virtuoso Educator, and I'm on a special episode tonight, just talking about something that's a little frustrating to me as a parent. I will be going over a new app that my 11-year-old had introduced me to, and it's called Zepeto. And so I just want to break this down a little bit for everybody, and what my concern is overall with our children using social media and the dangers of social media. And if we are not aware as parents what is happening through these different social media accounts and what our children have access to, I just want to give you a prime example of something my 11-year-old was using. And her dad and I had this big discussion today with my daughter and her brother about the dangers of social media and the different platforms that are out here and why we are trying to encourage them not to use social media, especially at a young age. And again, I want to clarify for my children, they are not allowed to use YouTube Reels for specific content. They're not allowed to use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, any of the social media, common social media apps. And so I just want to break down this one for you. So there is an app, it is called Zepeto. And let me bring it up here on my screen for us all. All right. So this app here, we're going to add, excuse me. So kind of getting the hang of using this here. Okay, there we go. So this app is called Zepeto. And again, it looks very friendly at first. So my daughter, about 2 months ago, she's like, hey, can I download this app? It's called Zepeto. All of my friends at school are playing on it. And, she's in 5th grade and she, preteen, and if anybody is more aware now, like our children are becoming a lot more mature in certain areas, especially around social media, because they're just very much used to that being part of their everyday world. We live in an age of technology, and it's not even a red flag to me, that she wants to do some things like this. And I kind of look at these like a Bitmoji or like other types of things to kind of create your own avatar and play within the metaverse. So I did, when she first asked to utilize this app, I did, a little background check on it to kind of see if I approved, kind of off of face value, right? And so right off the beginning, you'll see here that it has Zepeto, which is an avatar connect and play, and it's from Naver Z Corporation, and it talks about containing ads and in-app purchases, just like every other app does that we use. They have 4.3 stars out of 2.48 million reviews, over 100 million plus subscribers. And then they do indicate that this is for teens. When you look at the information about teens on Google Play specifically, it says that is user interact and in-app purchases. But it doesn't say, what does teen define as? And a lot of people, again, define teen as preteen, 11 plus, but a lot of stuff can identify as 13 and up. And so just kind of looking at that. And then, of course, it has the installation. I'm looking at a browser view so you can all see, but it has the same when you're on the phone. So within the app, Zepeto, you have where it's welcome to Zepeto, a place where virtually anything is possible. This piece right here, virtually anything is possible. And again, I want people to think about this app as very similar to Instagram. That's what it reminds me of. And again, at face value, when you first see it and start the application process and open the account, it looks very innocent. The kids kind of get to connect and talk to each other, things like that, right? And so you're thinking like, okay, virtually anything possible, like what all can they do? So it was really interesting at first, like I wasn't really aware. The other things it has in here is, of course, on any Google Play, it talks about the ratings. So it's a 4.3 out of 5 stars with 2.28 million reviews. But the thing that you want to be careful about with specific apps and reviews is something, even just like this very recent review, is it looks like it is from either a bot or something that is a fake profile. So it talks about the app being addicting. customization is great, all of these things. And every time I try to sign in the account, some weird warning sign that never goes away, which most of the users are probably using. But then it talks about other great apps here, meeting new people and making friends, choosing different clothing, very similar to things that we're used to in customization of apps and characters and avatars. So nothing super concerning. And you can continue to read through the different apps and things like that. I can't find it on here, but on one of the apps, actually, I can find it on here. One of the reviews, and if you look for like the lower star ratings, you can see what they are doing, why they're giving low star ratings here. And so this one talks about, I try uninstalling and reinstalling. It's frustrating. You get a lot of error network, things like that. But this one was super concerning back in 2019, and I know that's a long time ago, but it talks about the mic recording randomly and the camera accessing your files. Now, has this been updated? Probably, but if that was a concern when it first got used, who knows if it's completely updated. So kind of taking a look at all of these different reviews that are here and kind of understanding, even what the users end of it, because your children, if they're utilizing it, it has the same issues and the same areas that you might want to be concerned about. So as I was going through this information with my daughter, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quick, and we're going to share another screen. So I get a phone call today because my kids are with their dad. Get a phone call, and my children's father is like, "Hey, did you know this app that Raina, our daughter, is using?" And I was like, "Which app?" And he tells me which one it was, and it was the Zepeto. And I was like, "Yeah, what about it?" And I'm like, "I know they create an avatar, and I know that they get to talk to their friends. I've monitored it before I checked it out. I looked at it. I reviewed what she was talking about, things like that." And he was like, "No," he was like, "there's actually," he's like, "but who is this person that's on here?" And I'm like, "What person are you talking about?" He's like, "No, there's like a profile page." So I'm going to pull up really quick what he was talking about. Let me get that for us really quickly. And again, I'm trying to do better with presenting this information. So I'm going to come back here, and we're going to go here. Okay. I'm going to share this screen. All right, so I'm going to share this screen here. So these are just some screenshots of some stuff. So this is Zepeto, and again, it very much mimics a Instagram account. And so at first, when my child had opened this account, this is the avatar here at the top that she's created, very simple, not, anything concerning, all of these things. And then you start to kind of get into the account, and you're like, okay, what is this? So the concern was here, this picture was of a random woman who is a real woman. This wasn't even an avatar, and they had the picture up on here. And we didn't even know who this person was. It was really interesting. And then the other fact was that she had a random name here called Ava. And we're like, "Who's Ava?" And then it talks about here, it has her @ account, so her account name, and then a little description about herself. And her description was quite interesting too, because we're like, "What are you talking about in your description?" And she says, her name and a little bit about herself. She discloses what her zodiac sign is and all these things, right? And even kind of off face value right there, that's you shouldn't, as an 11-year-old, be doing things like that. And then the next picture that I'm going to zoom in on is, you see that my 11-year-old has 466 followers on her account. She's already posted 69 posts and has 1.4 thousand people that she is following. And this number is very, very, very concerning, because who are you following? You're 11 years old and you don't have 1.4 thousand friends. Like you don't have, like I'm a YouTuber and I do posts and videos and I nowhere near have that much time to do all of this and add all of these people. So me and dad are questioning like, who is this and who is this? And I'll come back and tell you her answers. So then the next picture, this is where it also got very concerning. And again, 5th grade, these are the active clubs that these children are in. Smash or pass. Okay, we all know what that means. Haley's Baddie Club. If you know anything about Baddie Club, yeah, you know that this is inappropriate for our 10 and 11-year-olds, our middle schoolers, our elementary schoolers, let alone our high schoolers. And then Chloe's Love and Rebecca's Besties. That might be a little innocent, but you know, you catch my drift. And then the other thing that we noticed right off the bat is she's making this post about somebody being racist. And my daughter, this is her avatar, and then some other person. My daughter is very much an advocate for being a person of color, and she's experienced a lot of racism already in her childhood, and she is very much against racism. So she kind of calls it out as she sees it, but sometimes she can, you know, she's young and she's a little naive and trying to understand the world a little bit, but she can sometimes say things out of pocket, and you know, she's been corrected, and we're trying to work on when is it appropriate to feel that type of way about something or somebody towards you in regards to using this word, because that is a very powerful word, and we want to be careful of labeling people or labeling situations as racist if that's not what the cause is, right? And what the case is. So a lot of learning opportunity here with what is happening. And so when I come back and we're having these conversations, first of all, we're like, who is this person? And she's like, oh, it's just a picture I found online and I thought she was pretty. I just want to use her as a picture. One, we don't do that. We don't use fake profiles. Fake profiles will get you in trouble. 2, this is identity theft. You can't do identity theft. That's a federal offense. And 3, you do not share information about yourself like this as a child on a public platform where multiple people can see. So we get to the next one and we're talking about who are all these people that you're following, and dad kind of did a little bit of digging, and he's like, and who is this? And who is this? And who are you talking to? And she's like, well, that's my friend. I don't know who that is. And, you know, she's giving all these reasons, and we're sitting here trying to tell her, like, this is not okay for you to do. This is not okay for you to be following people like this. And just so everybody knows, when your child is even streaming through YouTube Shorts are very much the same as Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok has all the same content. And you may think that you have the child settings on, and the child settings is actually not even a very appropriate setting because you get ads that are very not age appropriate for your children. So you guys have to be very conscious and very careful of what we're allowing our children on, because there's a way for things like this to even sneak into what's supposed to be, even if it's a teen, right? What are you labeling as teen? Because it, as you saw earlier, it was not very explicit as if it's 11 to 13 or 14 and 15, 18 and up, because smash or pass, to me, that's adult. This is 18 and up, right? Because we're not talking about this being under the age of 18 and being a minor. And some of these other things are very appropriate. So literally trying to coach through this moment of, we're not upset and mad at you, but this is coming off of your phone. You're no longer allowed to use this information. You're not allowed to be on anything reiterating that this is not okay. And again, as a parent, you know, I thought I did the right thing by allowing her to be on this platform so she could be talking to her friends, but not realizing like what it could turn into. And again, this is, I know it says 2019, but it is something that's a little bit newer to the elementary and middle school students. And it's starting to become popular. So a lot more kids want to use it, and you're starting to understand and see why. And so just like any Instagram or social media post or account, having followers, having likes, having comments. Those are all like very key things. And you'll see our young children being very self-conscious about having likes and follows and things like that on their pages, even in elementary or middle school age. And it's very interesting because at the end of the day, I'm not understanding sometimes why our elementary students have cell phones. My daughter has a cell phone only by happenstance of dad was giving it rid of his old one, and Raina was doing very well in schools, keeping up with their grades. She asked for one, and all it was supposed to be used for was for her to do, basic stuff like talk to only key people. She knew it was being monitored, and if she was on like YouTube or things like that, it's supposed to be only for learning purposes or for fun, but not to use in a social media capacity. And so again, as a parent, I'm like, oh, this is not okay. So I did a little bit more digging in data, but I've shared this before that, I do a did you know, and on average, children 8 to 18 years old spend 7.5 hours a day in front of screens for entertainment alone, which equals to about 114 days a year. And excessive time contributes to sleep disturbances, ADHD, ADD, and other behavioral disorders that can negatively affect your child's executive functioning, sensorimotor development, and learning skills. So if anybody is up to having this discussion with me on the implications of social media usage, of technology usage, or overuse of technology, I'd love to have these discussions. And of course, again, we're in 2024. Technology is everywhere. I'm on a podcast speaking to you through technology. Of course, it is a part of our everyday life, but are we really ensuring that our kids are safe in these environments on social media? And do they even understand what it is that they're getting themselves into? Because I really don't think they do. And the other thing about this app, which was kind of like a great learning curve for me and their dad today, was, are we again very aware of what it is that they are doing, but are we aware of the dangers that can come out of these types of platforms? Because here, being a child, right? Think about it. Being a child with one, sorry, let me take this off here. With having 1.4 thousand or following 1.4 thousand people, right? And regardless of whatever it is, 1.4 thousand, but even 466 followers. She alone has 466 followers, which I guarantee you she only knows maybe about 10 of those people. The rest of them, we don't know who they are, where they're coming from, what their motives are, what they're doing. Why are they on this app targeting specific children or specific different apps? And there was a couple concerning, I won't say messages because you can't message back and forth through this app, but you can comment. And there were a couple concerning comments on here. And, I was told of a story. One of my relatives, I won't disclose who, one of my relatives' daughters was actually lured through Discord by somebody in a sexually predatory way. And again, our young children, unless you are having these conversations with them about sex, about sexual predators, about the dangers of social media, and about hacking, about anything that pertains to the use of technology and the dangers of it, you are not setting your child up for success to live in a world of technology. And it is very important that we as parents and especially as educators that are encouraging the use of social media, the use of online technology in our classrooms, they have to know what the safeguards are in regards to using technology. And I think a big issue that we also face within the world of education is there's not training on what's safe and not safe early on. in our students' educational career, especially before they get to high school. And we know about cyberbullying. We know about, again, hacking and identity theft and all these things. So think if you have your child using your phone, they're using apps, they talk to somebody and they click on that one link that gives this the cyber hacker direct access to your phone, right? You're going to have all of your stuff lost. You're going to have all your stuff being accessed to, whatever it is. Your imagination can run wild. But if we're not educating our children on this, if we're not watching what they're doing on their phones, on their tablets, through the television, all of those things, like this could be a very dangerous situation. And to kind of wrap up some more information for us tonight, I like to do research on what are some data that we have behind the importance of utilizing social media. And I'll just refer to a couple sites that I've came across and that I found to be very interesting. And to give you some data aspects here really quick, I'm going to share my window again. So here on this page, this one is from everydayhealth.com. And again, you could do your additional deep dive research, but this is some that I've found that I thought had very pertinent information and up-to-date and accurate information. So it asked the question, is social media safe for kids and teens? And 11 things parents or caregivers should know. And I'll link this in here too. So it kind of goes through different data, but it talks about, and this is from 2023, to your kid, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and other platforms may seem essential for healthy lifestyles, but as adults, social media opens up to the wild west of the internet, including exposure to potentially harmful content, online harassment, and other harms. And parents, please, you see it every single day you are on social media. You know that people can be extremely negative and can be hurtful, can be harmful to adults, adult to adult. And just imagine adult to child, adult to teen, teen to teen, child to child, how harmful the use of social media can be without moderation, without people listening and following up on what is happening with these different platforms. And these platforms like Zepeto is not monitored and is not because they listed as teens, it opens up a whirlwind of different conversations. But as we know with TikTok and Facebook, anybody can lie about their age, right? So again, if your child has access to technology, you have to be monitoring. So some of the 11 things to know as a parent that this article digests, and we'll kind of scroll through it here. So one, they say here, social media use in kids and teens, it's not all bad. So again, not everything is bad about the use of social media and the use of these resources, and they can be used as tools just as long as they know how to use them. The second one here that I passed up was that kids and teens are uniquely vulnerable to social media potential risks. So again, there are potential risks like brain development, and we talk about drawbacks that can lead into adulthood. And they give other warnings and advisories against depression that typically emerge for overuse of social media. And it advocates for a safety first approach when it comes to kids. So again, social media has a safety first approach, so they say, but again, open to the wild, wild west of the internet. We don't know what's happening unless we're actually watching and observing. And then for number 3, the data on safe social media use for kids and teens is incomplete, meaning that there is no overarching data on the safe social media use for kids and teens. So it is, still being observed through our changes in social media and our changes through technology, but there are evidence gaps in knowing that kids develop at different stages and kind of think in tandem with the social media expansion and the the technology advancements, we've also gone through the last 4 years of quarantining, and I won't say quarantining, but of coronavirus and having years of quarantining. So those, even like my son, 4 years ago, who's only 4, really developed a lot with technology because he was introduced during kindergarten to high use of technology, to have to learn virtually, to be on a tablet, to be on a computer all the time. So just, understanding again the long-term use of being in front of technology, the waves that we're putting through our headphones, the microphones, just all of the overarching physical implications it has on our body and our mind. And again, now you're tackling the social emotional piece of utilizing social media and other technologies. It's a lot. And again, if it's not managed, if you are not observant of what your child is doing, it can cause, like this says, number 4, the problem is too big for parents to go it alone. And it can cause problems at home. And I know I struggle, especially with my younger, my 8-year-old, my son, with the use of technology and having to remove from day to day because of, you see that it has addictive qualities. We even see as adults, like, are we monitoring how much time we're using? And as a podcaster and somebody who works behind a computer 80% of the day, I try to justify why I use technology, but it really, at the end of the day, isn't the best for us, even as adults. The other part, it says talking about social media with your kids, especially when you're younger. So again, it's important. The APA advisory calls for adult monitoring social media use, particularly for kids for the ages of 10 to 14. And then it says here that there's reason to believe. Here it says there's reasons to believe that risks of social media use are larger in early adolescent because it's a period of greater biological, social, and psychological transitions per the APA's advisory. So again, your children are growing and developing from child to adolescent in these years. And the social emotional development is very huge in this milestone for your child. And so if they have negative implications on proper social emotional well-being and on proper use of technology and social media, they're not going to get past that. It's kind of like learning a skill or learning a habit. And if they're learning it incorrectly, it's not going to be beneficial for anybody. And then the next piece, this is teach your kids social media literacy. So parents can teach about technology and empower them to be responsible online per the Surgeon General's advisory. So again, just teaching them responsibility, teaching them things to look for, what you don't respond to, what you don't click on. I remember back in the day when AOL was a thing and I got spammed with pornography. I think I was probably about 11 years old. And you just think about AOL and the dial up and hearing that like noise to like download your information to get access to your email and things like that, and the chat rooms, all those things. Right. And I'm innocent over here, probably 11, 12 years old. And my computer gets hacked with pornography. And that was then. Think of now. So now, even through an app like Zepeto and just the World Wide Web, all the things that our kids have access to, you guys, they have immediate access to anything that they can get their hands onto. Your kids are very good at hiding things. They're very good at saying, oh, I don't know about this stuff yet. Yeah, they do. Like, you have to be very open to have conversations about topics that you may be uncomfortable about, because again, if you're having these open conversations with them, they can be more knowledgeable and more educated about what's good and what's bad when it comes to etiquette on online and on social media. For you to be updated with your children, of course, limits harmful content. So here it says content that limiting illegal or psychological maladaptive behaviors and examples of self-harm or violence and eating disorders, which you see a lot on social media. Cyber hate, this is the biggest thing that I see with their children in social media right now, is the cyber hate, is they are cyberbullying. anything around racism, homophobia, other hateful content, or they are doing social comparisons. So comparing themselves to themselves modified with a filter or body dysmorphia or anything like that. So again, all of these things that you think may only impact teenagers or adults, think again, if you're elementary, middle schooler are using these, they're going to experience the same issues, but they're going to be less likely to understand how to manage the emotions that they feel with learning or seeing or observing certain things through social media. Real quick, I'll go through these two. Don't let social media disrupt healthy behaviors like sleep. So again, the overuse of social media can stimulate the brain. Over the weekends, my daughter's like, oh, I can't sleep. And it's like, well, yeah, you spent X amount of hours recently, right before you're falling asleep on watching your show on Netflix or something, because your brain is overstimulated. Sorry about that. And they need to be able to sleep. So having a good cutoff time for your child, it is very beneficial. An hour before your children, at least, 4, 5, 6 years old up until, well, even extend to high school, an hour before they go to sleep, they should be able to digress, come off of anything with the blue light, come away from visuals, that stimulation that will keep them active and keep their brains going. They need at least an hour to calm down. So switch over to games, switch over to card games to kind of mentally think about something, switch over to things that are calming, like reading, a hot bath, anything, listening to music, but not watching a bunch of things on social media. And then the other ones is be alert for problematic use. So of course, being social media, being prone to social media use and other problems associated with psychological harms over time. And so again, no matter how responsible your teen is, which they're talking about here, it still can have built-in dangers. So again, bots, cybersecurity, people posing as peers their age and they're not. I could go on. Just be careful. And practice what you preach. I think that's a big one. I try to tell my kids all the time, don't be on social media, don't be on this, don't be on that. And of course, in the line of work that I'm in, and as an educator, I'm always in front of a computer. It's part of my day to day. But again, I try to discuss with my children, like there is a big difference in me just playing on my computer all day versus I'm working, and knowing when is it appropriate to take a break? When do I need to turn it off for the night? And as a workaholic, that's sometimes hard for me to do, but we need to practice that, especially during the waking hours of our children. If they are awake and they see us, engage with your children, do activities with your children. Don't leave them to do their own thing while you're still on your social media, while you're still on your computer. Engage with them before until they go to sleep. And then when they have a good bedtime, then do what you got to do. But of course, don't go overboard yourself. As adults, we still need to get good sleep. And then in the last part on here says taking action. So of course, being able to take action against things that are of concern. So for me, I will be writing a review about this app, saying that it is very predatory and they need to be able to observe the age limits, and they need to identify a specific age range for these, because there should not be something like Smash or Pass created even in some type of teen platform. And that's just my personal opinion. Another like quick statistic here, it'll say among 13 to 17-year-olds, up to 95% use social media, with 35% saying that they use social media almost constantly. 40% of 8 to 12-year-olds report using social media. And then this one is per the Research Institute. Here you can look this one up. So they give you a lot of actual very powerful impact and data. There's a lot of surveys going out right now. I just saw one on the news, like, do you think they should ban TikTok in the United States? Now, banning something completely obviously is going to have its pros and cons, especially for those who monetize these types of platforms and make a living off these type of platforms. Like, you don't want to take those types of things away from online creators. But at the same time, at what expense are we going to put on our children and youth who still can't understand a healthy balance of utilizing social media and utilizing certain things that are being posted, or how to avoid certain things. So this one, and again, I'll link these here. So American Psychology Association talks about social media brings benefits and risks to teens. And here's how psychology can help identify a path forward. So this had really great information as well. It broke down, again, the pros and cons on the use of social media. It talks about their charms and their harms. And I really liked here, again, it speaks what I was talking about, that even before COVID-19 pandemic, rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide in young people were climbing. And then in 2021, more than 40% of high school students reported depressive symptoms, with girls and LGBTQ plus reporting even higher rates of poor mental health and suicidal thoughts. And this was from the CDC in 2022. So just gives you some context into, again, the dangers of social media. And I know we don't like to really talk about these things sometimes, or just kind of it goes in passing. And a lot of us don't really pay attention until it happens to us. So for me, it's like I talk about this a lot, but now it's like, wow, like this, like really could have been a potential danger to my child. And so I want to avoid that. And we really had these conversations with her. It also talks about the cost of connection. So what's bringing people together? It does bring you together. Of course, social media brings us together in multiple positive ways, which I'm not at all putting down. But again, looking at the negatives of it. So how do you combat that? How do you let your child know not to argue back and forth with somebody, or how to say it's okay if somebody says this about you, just don't listen, ignore it, right? And how far does that go? So kind of thinking back, before technology, or not but before technology, but before social media, bullying is a thing, and dangerous content, as we say, it could be same thing along with bullying, but you can be exposed to things that we don't want our kids to be exposed to at an inappropriate age. And again, having those honest conversations with them, especially on this topic with ingrained racism. So understanding the algorithms and what's being shown, and you go down the wrong path, you're going to start getting all of these things. And that same app, Zepeto, has algorithms as well. So just really, again, understanding all of those things. And one other piece here, sorry about that. It talks about psychology and some recommendations. So again, how do you reduce the use of physical harm to adolescents? How do you minimize psychological harm? All of those things. So very resourceful things, but I think for us it's very just common sense. We really just need to be careful with what is on our children's phones and tablets, and if they're on a TV, on YouTube, what are they accessing, and just being mindful and watching. If your children is a preteen or not an adult, right? We as parents need to monitor our minors and tell them what is okay and not okay. Out of these cycles of putting themselves in harm's way, early pregnancy. I don't want my daughter to be part of the baddies club. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. It's not appropriate. And I'm not even speaking from a religious point of view, because that is not my area of expertise. And two, I don't speak in those lenses. I'm just speaking on what is age appropriate for children that are under the age of 18. Okay. So that is my TED Talk for today. Parents, educators, if you are using, again, it's called Zepeto. I'll put the link and stuff in the chat. I highly urge you to check that out if it's on your child's phone, and just to monitor overall the safety and security of your children's well-being while they're using online platforms and other social media accounts. Please like, comment, and share. I want to know your guys' feedback. What are some ways that you monitor your children's social media accounts? What are some ways that you talk to your children about the positive and negatives of utilizing social media and other websites without proper knowledge of what is okay and not okay in our world of technology? So you all have a great night, and thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you all soon.